Greetings to all fans of anime. Today we will talk about mega hype and funny anime, as well as the main queen of cyberbullying Nagatoro. So don't forget to like, write a comment and subscribe to the channel. Enjoy! It all starts with a guy named Naoto coming to the library after school. There he sees girls who are talking loudly among themselves. He walks past them and starts doing his homework. However, a blonde woman approaches and he accidentally drops his briefcase, from where sketches of his art fall out. The blonde calls her other friends and they start laughing together with his drawings and then leave. Next, Nagatoro herself approaches him and begins to discuss his homemade manga. She offers to repeat the scene from there and starts waving her legs. However, Senpai is so embarrassed that he is even afraid to touch her. Nagatoro laughs about it, thereby bringing the guy to tears. Realizing that she has gone too far, Nagatoro wipes away his tears and leaves. The next day, she returns and Naoto gives her a washed handkerchief and then walks into her drawing circle. Nagatoro jumps after him and asks him to draw her naked and unbuttons the button on her shirt. But the senpai is proud and there are no such pathetic girlish provocations. Nagatoro then tells him that he will reward the senpai if he draws it coolly. But Naoto doesn't need a reward. He will draw it just like that, in the name of art. Because he's an artist. Nagatoro looks at the drawing, prepares to thank the artist, but suddenly hits him on the forehead with a laugh. It's a shame, it's annoying, and it's not a pretty thing at all. She says that the senpai didn't deserve the award because he didn't draw his crotch well. The artist cries. Nagatoro wipes away his tears again, then they go home together. Along the way, she confesses her love to him. However, he cheats again and pushes the guy into the sewers. After bathing, Naoto asks for her name, and she says, Nagatoro. End of the first episode. The second series begins in the drawing room. Senpai draws his jars but then Nagatoro bursts in and starts spinning and preventing him from drawing. Next, we see Naoto eating and reading depraved manga. Nagatoro bursts in and starts joking again. Naoto assures that there is nothing forbidden there and he is gay, and in general this is a manga about vampires. The girl, hearing such a statement, decides to play vampires and begins to try to bite Naoto. However, he was a cunning guy and how he blew his garlic breath at her that she jumped off. Senpai runs away. And Nagatoro jumps on him and grabs his friend between his legs. The gay check was successful. Next, we see Nagatoro run back to Naoto and offer to play a game, Hit the Chest. For this, she will give him a coupon for any desire. Nagatoro wins and runs away. Actions are transferred to the cafe. Senpai is sitting doing his homework when suddenly Nagatoro's girlfriends come to the cafe, and some guy comes with them. Naoto peeps and finds out that she is only cyberbullying him. The action is transferred back to the drawing circle. Naoto again draws some nonsense, then suddenly Nagatoro bursts in and undresses. But it was just a swimsuit. Next, we see them running in heavy rain. Under such rain, the senpai and Nagatoro got soaked through. In general, they decide to wait out the rain at her house. Senpai comes in and sees her parents' shoes and thinks her parents are also cyber bagels. However, he was lucky and no one was home. He walks in, dries things and smells towels, and then drinks Chinese tea. Nagatoro gets bored and says, I'm going to humiliate you so much in Mortal Kombat. But Naoto is our avid gamer, humiliated her and sits contented. But then Nagatoro started cheating. Anyway, they played around and the senpai went home. Fast forward and we're in the school cafeteria. Naoto is looking for somewhere to sit, but all the seats are occupied. But then Nagatoro calls him to the table with his girlfriends. Senpai realizes that the case smells bad and decides to eat quickly and run away. But as soon as he sits down at the table, Nagatoro's girlfriends immediately take up cyberbullying. However, Nagatoro herself does not like this arrangement, and she does not allow her friends to touch him. Next scene. Nagatoro decides to teach Senpai how to stand up for himself. You just need to hit the head of the offenders. In theory, it sounds convincing, but in practice, the guy accidentally hits Nagatoro on a soft spot. It's a new scene again. Naoto washes her hands, but again Nagatoro runs and starts grabbing him with her soapy hands. But our hero is not satisfied with this situation and he runs away. Again, a new scene. Naoto sits and eats a butter sandwich, but suddenly out of nowhere, two ladies appear and begin to pester. They mock and make their chest touch. But in fact, under the shirt was just a pie with shit. Lucky. However, Nagatoro was already standing nearby and was jealous of the senpai. Well, the friends naturally ran away, and Nagatoro again offers his game stupid. He says, "I'll hide the pies under the bra, and you guess which one with the filling." Naoto agrees, but during the game the pie falls out and you have to touch the soft charm. It was a shame to lose. Next scene. Naoto draws again and Miss Nagatoro comes in again with a couch. She lay down and said, "You need to learn how to compliment." "Well, let's praise me." Naoto tried, she liked it, but in response she told him to draw it. Naoto begins to paint a picture, but the lady, instead of posing normally, first jumped right and left and then fell asleep altogether. Naoto was not confused and as a true artist painted her while she was sleeping. Nagatoro wakes up and appreciates the drawing. He says to close his eyes and accept the reward. But again I cheated. The next day, Nagatoro says that Naoto looks like a ram with his hairstyle and offers to shave him. As a result, they agree that it needs to be slightly trimmed on the sides. But suddenly the phone rings. Nagatoro leaves and suddenly her friends come in and they try to cut his hair. But Nagatoro returns and the friends retreat. The deal is in force. She cut it. Fast forward to a new episode. Nagatoro offers a sample of branded ice cream, but it turns out that now there is a queue, like for the last iPhone on the day of release. After standing for a while, Nagatoro can't stand it and the senpai has to pull her into the shadows. But while she was recovering, he went to get water to the nearest store. And she went to get ice cream. On the way home, they exchanged numbers and now Nagatoro will spam senpai with vile stickers. Naoto is resting when he suddenly calls Nagatoro and offers to go to the beach. Senpai agrees, but again no luck. Her friends are with her. Naoto decides not to bathe and so sits down to draw. In general, we sat and rested. The festival arrives, Naoto comes alone, and suddenly Nagatoro's friends come and take him captive. They put a collar on it and send the photo to Nagatoro. She runs in and a competition begins to find out who's senpai. Nagatoro takes Naoto to him and they go together to watch the fireworks. But unfortunately they see a huge queue again. But Naoto knows a good place, from where everything is perfectly visible. He takes Nagatoro there, but it turns out that this is the place where young couples kiss. Naoto decides to leave. Fast forward to a new scene. Nagatoro and his friends are sitting in the park, when suddenly some guys sit down with them. Naoto crunched a branch, then hid behind a tree again, but was opened. He is called to himself, but this time, the senpai is not confused and how he screams in a whisper to the hole, with the words, "Let's go from here." That's how senpai saved everyone. Again, the drawing room. It turns out that Naoto needs to prepare for exams and he plays his games instead. Nagatoro, as a master of motivation, begins to cyberbully the senpai about this, stating that if he stays for the second year, he will no longer be her senpai. And if he stays on the third, then it is Nagatoro herself who will become his senpai. Then her friends join the motivation. However, in time, a blonde bursts in and puts them in their place stating that they themselves are two-legged. As a result, Naoto prepared and passed the exam normally. Next scene. Naoto and Nagatoro go home and suddenly she offers to play a game and the loser carries the winner's briefcase. Nagatoro loses and carries his briefcase. After walking a short distance, she demands revenge. Naoto, like a true gentleman, is served, but the friend was more cunning, and this time makes her carry her. As he dragged her on, his palms sweated, but the senpai was not confused and lifted her and grabbed her ass. Nagatoro was horrified by this and ran away in a completely different direction. A new scene. Naoto walks into the office and sees Nagatoro's stupid girlfriends sitting there. It turns out that they were scared of the local guys in the dining room. But this is not for long, because they sent a blonde there. But the next day it turns out that some fat man has started watching her. The blonde asks Naoto to help and pretend to be her boyfriend. But since senpai is a true gentleman, he agrees. But Nagatoro, seeing all this, is terribly jealous of him. During a date, Nagatoro catches a fat maniac, and he promises not to spy anymore. Transition to a new scene. Nagatoro and his friends watch the senpai out the window and see that he is a weak runner. Nagatoro is not satisfied with this arrangement and she takes him for a run. During training, she struggles to seduce him with mating dances. But senpai is strong in spirit and is not led to such tricks. Stretch time. It was an awkward moment. And here we are in the drawing class. Naoto is preparing for the exhibition and Nagatoro wants him to paint it. Naoto declares that he will only draw her in a Nico costume, hoping that she will refuse in this way. By the way, the friends for some reason are still spinning around him, and in the meantime, Nagatoro has already dressed up and asks the senpai to draw her. Suddenly, however, Naoto senses something and hides everyone in the closet. Suddenly, the head of the drawing circle enters the classroom. She states that she heard the conversation about the fact that strangers come to the office, and therefore the office will have to be closed. Nagatoro can't stand it, comes out of the pantry and stands up for Naoto, after which the head says that he will not close the circle on the condition that he defeats her at the exhibition. However, the problem is that the head professionally draws herself from nature, which is why all local students run to her paintings. Nagatoro offers to draw himself. However, Naoto does not accept help and draws all sorts of still lives. The head comes into the room and declares that in the picture the most important thing is love. Nagatoro then enters and sees that the head is standing in one towel. Again, it's an awkward situation. Nagatoro runs away. And the head says to catch up with her. Senpai catches up with a friend near the school pool and persuades her to pose for him. Out of awkwardness, they both fall into the pool. As a result, Senpai painted several pictures of everyday Nagatoro. But it turns out that this time the picture of the chapter is even cooler and more depraved. They decide to use a marketing ploy to lure guys to their paintings. Surprisingly, it worked. After some time, our heroes notice that the picture of the chapter is disqualified for violating the regulations. Naoto intercedes for the head and then Nagatoro and his girlfriends. They say that although all sorts of fools came to look at the picture, but there were also those who appreciate such art. The head is saved, but loses. This means that the drawing circle remains open. But as a punishment, the head will need to go to the exhibition in the costume of a bunny girl. By the way, they made good money on it. At the end, the head in his costume evaluates Naoto's paintings and approves of them. Then Nagatoro comes in and there the leader stands backwards, asks Naoto to unbutton the lock on his back, and then says that this is a joke. After the credits, Naoto draws a sleeping Nagatoro and then finally receives his reward, a kiss on the cheek. But I won't give up the reward of your like and comment either. See you next time.